Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Lux, the channel dedicated to all things rich and luxurious. From stars at the top of their game who lost it all, to others who felt it wouldn't run out but did. Join me as I show you 9 NBA stars who are now broke. But first, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed to the channel, make sure you turn on notifications as we are releasing new videos. Number 9. SHAWN KEMP. SHAWN KEMP is a legend in Seattle, having helped lead the Supersonics to their first NBA Finals appearance in nearly 2 decades. He made the All-Star team every year for 6 seasons and averaged over 18 points and 10 rebounds per game from 1992 to 1999. Due to weight issues as well as drug and alcohol problems, he quickly declined after the 2000 season and was forced to enter rehab his first year with the Portland Trail Blazers. His decline continued after his career was over, until he finally hit rock bottom in 2005 when he was arrested in Washington in relation to a drug possession investigation. Kemp was busy paying court fees and lawyers during all his legal troubles. But what hurt him most was the child support payments he was obligated to pay for all 7 of his children. These days, Kemp has somewhat cleaned himself up. He still lives in Seattle, where his eldest son is a member of the University of Washington Husky basketball team. Kemp was recently forced to close the doors of his bar in Seattle because of financial reasons, but it appears he's still on his feet. Sadly, stories like SHAWN in regards to drugs and such are all too common in the NBA and other leagues, and while there are many restrictions and other things to try and stop this from happening, they still do it. Number 8. Eddie Curry. The future seemed so bright for high school star Eddie Curry when he was drafted 4th overall by the Chicago Bulls in 2001. Most would love to be drafted in the first round, or in the draft at all, but being the number 4 pick, that carries a lot of prestige, but also pressure. Although $70 million in career earnings is nothing to scoff at, it hasn't helped him avoid financial ruin in the years since. Curry reportedly had major financial commitments to a number of extended family members, and purchased 12 cars for various friends and family. There were also a series of ill-advised quick fix solution attempts, such as a substantial personal loan from All-Star Capital that came with a whopping 85% interest rate. Yet another reason the NBA should require its youngsters to take financial planning and money management classes like the NFL does. These days, Curry is regulated to celebrity basketball leagues and giving speeches to talented amateur athletes about potential potholes in the road as a promising young athlete. During his speeches, he emphasizes the importance of attending college and enjoying the processes of growing up. He was recently quoted saying, "My only regret was not attending college and participating in the rites of passage, like living in a dorm or experiencing the growth and maturity so many NBA players received as college athletes." Hopefully, some of these athletes will hear his words. Number 7. MAHORN. Okay, how about a tale that honestly did end a little bit better than most of the people on this list? MAHORN did an awful lot for the city of Detroit, helping with an NBA title as part of the Bad Boy Pistons in 1990, becoming a broadcaster for the team upon retirement, and even making investments on property in the city. If only the city did a lot for him. Those investments went belly up alongside Motown's economy, leaving him in dire financial straits and forcing him to hawk his championship ring while filing for bankruptcy in 2010. As embarrassing as it is, his money owed includes $55 worth of late fees to a local library. After hitting rock bottom, MAHORN had to fall back on his basketball knowledge to save himself. He was able to land a job in the WNBA, ultimately becoming a head coach. More recently, he has found a place on radio and television in Detroit. He is currently a radio analyst for the Detroit Pistons and works as a co-host/analyst on Sirius XM NBA radio. So I guess in the end, Detroit did give back to him. The city just had to take him down a peg or two. Number 6. CAFFEY. A career NBA journeyman, meaning he went from team to team across his career, most famous for his time with Michael Jordan's Bulls in the mid-90s. CAFFEY lost his $34 million career earnings through a different kind of excess than many on our list. On top of personal issues that include an anxiety attack and an assault charge while he was still playing, CAFFEY has fathered 10 children by 8 different mothers. This deadbeat dad tried to file for bankruptcy in 2008, but the claim was rejected by a judge. In 2007, CAFFEY was arrested for failure to make child support payments. In 2010, he was named the head coach of the Mobile Bay Hurricanes of the American Basketball Association. These days, CAFFEY is still struggling to make ends meet and is still egregiously behind on his child support payments. Further proof that fame and money can make you do bad things and make terrible decisions. Number 5. LATRELL Sprewell. LATRELL Sprewell was a 3-time NBA All-Star, but he will be best remembered for infamously choking then Golden State Warriors head coach PJ Carlesimo and explaining his rejection of a 3-year, $21 million contract offer by saying, "I have a family to feed." That quote rings a little more true now, as failed payments have led to foreclosure on $2 million mansions that he owned and forced him to auction off his prized luxury yacht. Even after making nearly $100 million, his lavish lifestyle quickly caught up to him after retirement. A common story for many former sports stars. And just like those stars, including some on this list, he would do anything for money. In one case, he was rumored to have been paid off by Knicks owner James Dolan to simply show up to a game with James and pretend to be his friend. Whether that was really true or not is up in the air, but when you're desperate enough for money, there are worse things than being around an NBA owner and getting paid to look happy. Number 4. Vin Baker. Retirement hasn't exactly been blissful for Vin Baker since his 13-year NBA career came to an end in 2006. After losing most of his $97 million in career earnings through a series of poor investments and tax woes that left him forced to pay over $1 million in back taxes, Baker sued the financial firm Brodeer & Co., certified public accountants, for what he felt was negligent management. While Baker may indeed have misplaced his financial trust, but a reckless lifestyle that included alcohol abuse problems and a 2007 DUI arrest probably didn't help. Hint, it didn't help one bit. After fighting through tough times of the late 2000s, Baker somehow crawled back to his feet. In 2015, he was the store manager of a Starbucks in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. More recently, he has landed a job with Fox Sports as a basketball analyst. Another piece of proof that even financial ruin doesn't mean you can't get back to what you love. Number 3. Allen Iverson. We're not gonna lie, this particular broke story has one heck of a caveat. Former NBA scoring champ and league MVP Allen Iverson always had a flair for the dramatic. LeBron James called him the greatest pound-for-pound player to ever play, but he had his off-court issues. A man who earned well over $150 million in his life was reduced to standing in a courtroom during 2012 divorce proceedings and pulling out his pockets, exclaiming that he didn't have enough money for a cheeseburger. Iverson's descent came just about every way imaginable, with a 50-person entourage, a severe gambling addiction, legal fees, alcohol troubles, and a thirst for excitement drained his $150 in earnings. Iverson says he is no longer broke, and that he has earned much of his money back. That is hard to believe, especially since he is currently participating in a gimmicky 3-versus-3 basketball league, hosted by Ice Cube. While Ice Cube's creations may not get Iverson's riches back, Al did do one thing right as a player. His deals with shoe company, Reebok, has a $30 million trust fund for Iverson that he can't touch until he turns 55. One problem, he's 44, and so that means he's got another decade to survive before he hopefully gets the money. After all, a lot can happen in a decade. Number 2. Antoine Walker. $110 million is a lot of money, but it can run surprisingly thin when it's being used to fund 70 families and friends, in addition to a very expensive auto hobby. Antoine Walker went broke while supporting an entourage of 70 people and treating himself to a car collection that included 2 Bentleys, 2 Mercedes, a Range Rover, a Cadillac Escalade, a Hummer, and his prized Maybach. Gambling losses of almost $700,000 also created problems for Walker, who hit rock bottom with a Las Vegas arrest in 2009 for writing fraudulent checks to casinos, all the while being pursued by numerous creditors. These days, Antoine can be spotted in various documentaries and short films about the fall from financial grace. He played a major role in the ESPN 30 for 30 Broke. He also was the star of a lesser-known piece produced by Netflix. As the poster child for money mismanagement, Walker has actually helped himself get to a place where there might be light at the end of the tunnel. But with an addictive personality and temptations always around, it'll be interesting to see how he finishes his story. We're hoping that some of you will hear this story and realize that while it may be nice to be rich, it does have a price of its own that can lead to all sorts of ruin. Number 1. Dennis Rodman. In many ways, the story of Dennis Rodman should have been one that is fondly remembered, and I mean that honestly. He came from nothing, had a family that could barely support themselves at point, found his way to basketball, became a top person in the NBA, a 5-time NBA champ, one of the most stylish, in his own way, players out there during his time with the Bulls, and a proven basketball player, and of course, an NBA Hall of Famer. Where the heck did it go all wrong? The answer is quite simple. Dennis Rodman, you see, because of his upbringing, he was very clingy and downright codependent on certain people to keep him on the straight and narrow. One of those people was his former Detroit Pistons coach that led him to 2 NBA titles and was very much a father figure to him. When that coach retired, Rodman was listless. Then he went to the Bulls and became an untethered. He would do whatever he wanted with whomever he wanted, and that caused all sorts of crazy problems. The parties, the women, the men, the drugs, and more. It all came to a head. Then, when he left the NBA, he kept it going despite there not being as much money coming in. His personal life collapsed, his credibility slowly but surely became shot, and he straight up went broke. He would do things like be on celebrity game shows and such, just to get some money to pay off the bills he had, and more. While Rodman claims he's more stable now, many wonder if that's true. And while his life with his family is growing in certain ways, as he claims in a recent ESPN documentary about his life, he knows that his biggest failures wasn't his basketball career or doing away with his money. It was that he wasn't a better father. Leaving many to wonder what would have happened with Rodman if he had been able to keep everything on the straight and narrow. So what do you think? What do you think of these NBA stars who went broke after they left the NBA with all the millions they had? Can you believe how these guys lost their money? Which of these stories is the most tragic in your eyes? Is there another player you know that could be on this list? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe. And thank you for watching Lux, the channel dedicated to all things rich and luxurious. If you like this video, make sure you check out some of our other videos. And to be notified when we release new videos, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time.